Warning, this video may contain spoilers for the TV show or movie that we discuss in this video. If you have not yet watched the TV show or movie that this video is about, please come back to the video at a later time after you have watched the content that was discussed. You have been warned.
Rising with each beat of the music is bringing real flames in the fire that keeps burning. We're inviting the night in.
Tactical nuke incoming!
How's it going, everybody? This is Novakast back with another video talking about Final Space Season 2, and oh my gosh, there's a little bit to talk about. First off, I need to make a correction because in the last video, the big guy that looks like Barrett, I kept calling him Rex, but his name is actually Fox, so okay. And with that, I think that was one of the only corrections I needed to make, so as far as I know. So, without further delay, why don't we go ahead and continue? Starting off with episode 3, which, oh my gosh, this was a fun, really interesting. Actually, not. I actually no. I mean, every single one of these episodes so far have been fun, but this one in of itself has been interesting, to say the least. And we kind of get a little bit of backstory for Ash, who during, I guess, another competition type deal, they or at least they notice a tattoo that's on Ash's arm, and it turns out that it's a symbol for one of the dimensional gates, which is one of the objects that Bolo needs them to find in order for him to be freed. So sure enough, it actually is something that is connected to her home planet, which has a kind of a dark backstory, where apparently the reason she's with Clarence and Fox was due to some unfortunate events involving her family, where one, her sister was apparently sacrificed to some interdimensional snake creature, and she killed her parents, and the village hates her. So to an extent, she didn't want to go back to her planet because of, the events that transpired. And her kind of becoming, the daughter, or kind of adopted daughter to Clarence. I feel so bad for her. But anyways, unfortunately, after having a nightmare, even though everybody else wanted to, she didn't want to till she has this nightmare. And she decides that she wants to go to her home planet in order to help them find the dimensional gate, or dimensional key, I should say, and in turn also hopefully free her sister from her cruel fate. So they get to the planet, and after them dressing up Kevin as this god of fortune, and not only that, but also Kevin inadvertently killing all of the villagers who were planning on getting sacrificed by Warthret, the dimensional snake that everybody was being sacrificed to. They go to where Warthret lives, and kind of convinces it to eat every single one of them. Now, there's this subplot that happens in the episode where apparently this guy shows up trying to hijack their ship. And by the way, I was right. It was called the Crimson Light, so continuing on. But anyways, this guy was trying to steal the ship to apparently make his wedding. Now, I'm going to say this. At first, I kind of thought that this was some kind of ploy for him just to lie and claim that he was going to go to a wedding. But turns out that's not the case. And I'll explain more later in the episode, because oh my gosh. For a second I thought this was just a gag, but it turns out it wasn't. And it was him actually being genuine. So what ends up happening, going back to the whole Warthret thing, our crew, which is Kevin, like the away team, is Kevin, Gary, Little Kato, Ash, Clarence, Tribor, Mooncake are all in war threat. They're trying to get the dimensional key. They find it, and they end up having to, Kevin ends up doing it, answering 3 riddles. Actually, no, Kevin answers 2 of them, but with this dimensional ball ends up killing the guy giving them the riddles. And they proceed to try to take the dimensional key. Now, another thing, too, is they also uncover... And this was kind of crazy, because they end up uncovering what happens to all the people that get sacrificed. And they're inside the snake. I don't know if they're, like, either still alive or some kind of, like... Their life force is being drained out of them, because all of them seemed, like... zombified to a certain degree. And during this whole event, Ash ends up finding her sister, which I kind of figured that this wasn't going to happen. In fact, it kind of reminded me of like that whole scene where Dom from Gears of War 2 or the Gears of War series finds his wife in Gears of War 2, and it's just a horrible reunion where they end up, well, in that case, Dom had to kill his wife. In this one, they had to leave Ash's sister in the belly of the beast. So, but they're able to get the dimensional key, escape, and are able to kind of get out of there as quickly as possible. And sure enough, as I stated, when it comes down to the whole wedding thing, it wasn't a gag. It wasn't the... Like, it ends with the guy actually going to a wedding, so he was actually telling the truth. Unfortunately for him, he doesn't get to enjoy his wedding, because while they're in orbit, Fox, who is very gung-ho about this whole wedding thing, proceeds to push the dude off the hangar door. Yeah. The dude ends up free-falling and basically sprays all over his bride. Like, everything. Like, he just... I don't know the best way to describe it. It was like if you were to drop a water balloon of like goo or whatever from a high place. That's what it was like. He literally just turned into a puddle as soon as he hits the ground. It was messy. Now, I gotta say, this episode was great, and we get to see a little bit of Ash and like her backstory and why she is or has her abilities to an extent. So all in all, it's actually pretty cool, and they actually, I think they're kind of hinting on they kind of hint on something happening later on, because there's a conversation in there at the end, like with her being scared about her powers, and we have Nightfall basically telling her, it's like, you know, maybe your powers are meant for something, you know, more down the line. And we have I will say, a cute scene with near the end with Ash and Locato. It was great. It was great. Now, going on to episode 4, continuing with this video, we have something really odd. And this is, it starts off with, I don't know how to describe this. We get music from Footloose. I think that was from Footloose. It was Loggins, or Kevin Loggins. And it starts off with like Gary wanting to do like kind of release some of his pent up energy, and they find music from Loggins. And it's, I'm serious. I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was music from Footloose. So it's like everybody dancing. Clarence kind of like horrified and trapped in a room where he can't get out to try to stop them. Everybody dancing, everybody enjoying themselves, which I thought was it was a cute scene. But it shortly ends with apparently these shards of distorted time about to collide with the ship. So we have Little Kato, both Gary and Little Kato, trying to evade these shards, and when they think that they are completely safe, a giant shard hits the ship. Not just hits the ship, but apparently goes through the center of the ship, and a portion of that ship is pushed through time. And it's just little Kato, and we get to see, like, for the most part, apparently, like, 60 years pass. Little Kato is now kind of adult Kato, or little avocado, as Mooncake calls him. Apparently, for this version, or this older version of Mooncake, he has, like, a little voice box. And I thought it was interesting with this little bit with him in the voice box. See all of our characters. Apparently, Hugh and Ava are married. The AI of the ship and Hugh. Kevin is more disheveled and it, like, threatens to burn people. Clarence apparently is wearing Gary's skin, which was odd, but kind of like thinking about that would be something that Clarence would do. Ash and Fox are apparently dead in this future. And Tribor is insane. And Nightfall is blind. And it's just like, what the F is going on? What the F is going on? So, Lil Kato is trying to, like, figure out a way to escape or try to get everybody safe. And what ends up happening is he comes up with an idea to set a homing beacon to get everybody to safety. But to some regard, they're worried about the power being depleted and them dying from no oxygen. So what ends up happening is little Kato decides to, fuck it. With by the way, with the help of Nightfall, kind of helping him, or at least motivating him, proceeds to set up the beacon and activate it. But victory is short-lived for our hero, as apparently this opens up, I guess, the energy that comes from the beacon breaks open a rip in space and unleashes a Titan. So it ends up being Little Kato, Mooncake, and Nightfall, or a blind Nightfall, trying to stop the Titan. And at this point, they're able to succeed. They're able to, like, the plan is they try to distract it. It opens its mouth and Mooncake goes in and blows it up. And the plan works. But not so much, because Lil Kato ends up getting hurt. And Nightfall is able to get into safety. But it turns out that's not really the case, because apparently, as we find out, that apparently Little Kato might be insane, because in between he's been talking to his dad, and two, everybody who he thought he was seeing, and yes, I say thought, because turns out it was all hallucination. He's been alone for so long that he has imagined everybody being there. And apparently, all of them have been on the other side of the rift between time. And what ends up happening is they're trying to blast it open or crack it open. So, in one final ditch effort to try to save Little Kato, and as well as the ship, they use his Ash abilities in turn with the drop drive, and proceed to use the energy from the drop drive to power Ash, and therefore use that energy to break open the rift in time. And to a regard, they're able to not only save Lil Kato, but also the ship. But it's not much of a happy ending, because apparently, as Little Kato is kind of back to normal, like he's back to his normal age, he remembers everything. Like the past 60 years of him being by himself. Which I'm going to say that would suck. Like, it would truly suck for that to happen. But, he's back, and this little device that he's been using to talk to his dad, or at least him talking and making it seem like his dad is the one talking, he decides to put the device away for a time. So, I gotta say, with this one, because we get to see a little bit of Little Kato in this, and I gotta say it was a great episode. Especially with him kind of like his, I want to say anxieties or motivations, or if anything, him trying to be or live up to his father's name to an extent. So I thought this was a great episode with him trying to, just be strong for everybody, but at the same time, people not wanting to kind of cooperate, or at least not cooperate, but kind of help him or let him help them. It was an interesting episode, and it's great that they're able to save him in time before he was killed. But anywho, so that was episodes 3 and 4. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I know when it comes down to the show itself, I've been enjoying it. What are your thoughts? Love to hear what you guys have to say. Like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. If you guys want to follow us on social media, links are in the description down below, as well as check out our daily content and the weekly podcast. With that being said, this is Rob Novakast signing off. Have a good one, and take care. Peace.